Hi, my name is Tina. I'm an incoming freshman at the University of Pennsylvania, and these are the top 2 pieces of advice I would give to college applicants to make the writing process go more smoothly. This is advice that I really didn't hear or see while I was writing my essays, and if I could go back in time and give myself advice, it would be these 2 tips. And just to clarify, in this video, I won't be sharing advice on the specific content you should have in your essays. I feel like you can find a lot of that online already, but I wanted to share advice on the overall writing process that I think will help prevent procrastination and writer's block and really just make the process much more smooth. So yeah, on to my first piece of advice. My first piece of advice is really just to start writing. I know this might seem sort of basic and obvious, and you're probably thinking, no kidding, obviously I need to start writing, but it's something that I didn't realize until quite late into my college essay writing journey, and I think it'll really help to keep this in mind. So I started brainstorming ideas for my Common App essay at the end of 11th grade around April or May, and then you'd think with that time plus the summer before 12th grade, by the time I entered 12th grade, I would have been done with my Common App essay. I would have been well on track with my supplements, but I wasn't. In fact, I hadn't even started writing my Common App essay. And the reason was I was just so stressed and worried and focused on perfection. In my head, I kept thinking, this essay that I start writing, it needs to be perfect. I'm going to submit it to colleges. It could change my life. And so I kept worrying about that, and I kept thinking, I don't want to start writing this essay until I know it's going to be perfect, because otherwise it will be a waste of time, and that really ended up setting me back. If you find yourself in a similar position to me, please just take my advice and start writing. I know it probably seems very scary, it did to me too, but unless you start writing your essays and just like get your ideas down, put ink on paper, or I guess fingers on keyboard, you won't know whether the idea is great, whether it could actually turn into a full essay, or whether it'll just not be the one you choose. And if you're worried about wasting time starting an essay that you don't end up sticking with, please just remember that by sitting there contemplating your ideas or your idea, you're going to end up wasting much more time. It's a much more productive use of your time to just start writing that essay, figure out if it's good, and then move on from it or continue with it if it's good. Obviously, you don't want to just like start writing with nothing, no ideas, or just like an idea that you just thought of. Like once you have an idea though, and you've sort of like thought over it and you think it could potentially work, then you should just start writing. Now this leads into my second tip. My second piece of advice is to not be afraid to start over. I know I struggled a lot with this at first, as I was always like, oh, I already started writing the essay. It would be a waste if I just threw it away and started over, but it's really not, because by writing that essay, you're able to get experience and take the experience that you learned from that, figure out what worked and what didn't, and create a better essay. Also, there's always going to be better ideas. If you have any sort of doubt over your first essay, you're like, there's something not perfect about it, or I think there's a better idea, you should really just move on and try to start the new one. And this applies not only to when you're like trying to think of a new idea entirely, but also if you have an essay that you really like and it's really great, you really love the idea, but there's just like a paragraph that just doesn't work, and no matter how much you edit it, it's not exactly how you want it to sound, you can just start writing that paragraph again entirely. You don't need to keep editing it, just try to write it again. And I think that really helped me. A lot of the times I found that I was struggling to fix it, but then right when I started writing it anew, it just worked. You can even do that for the entire essay if you love the idea, but it just wasn't exactly how you wanted. And with that, that concludes this video on the top 2 tips that I would give to college applicants on essay writing. I hope at least some of you find this somewhat helpful. I know I really would have loved to get this advice before, so I'm really hoping some of you will be able to benefit from it. And if you have any questions, or if there's any sort of video you want to see in the future, please leave a comment down below. And I'm wishing you all the very best of luck on your college application journey. Bye!